Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here. Welcome back to the channel for another update on KDA. So, Kadena's flirting with death. Let's talk about it. Now, this is no clickbait. In the last video we made for Kadena 1 week ago when I gave you my price targets on the Kadena huge dump that was right around the corner, we mentioned one very specific price target that KDA would need to hold, your last line in the sand at $1.46. Why did we mention this zone? Well, because this is basically where your candle body closes on the weekly time frame are, daily time frame are. If we break beneath these, we're going to come down to new lows. We've got support over on the VPVRs over here. We've also got support on the fixed volume profiles. So there were many reasons why we need to hold this region, and as you can see beneath 146, you can see there's a massive dip in the volume profiles, which basically means there's not really been too many bids, there's not been many asks in the Kadena price action around this region. And this makes sense because when we look at the price action traded around here, you can see, let's clear up the chart. We don't need the VPVRs for this. You can clearly see the most amount of data that was traded for Kadena was right around this region. We had plenty of data traded on the weekly. And then as you can see, there's a big old gap right around this level where, you know, you've got a decent amount of data traded up here. But then when you're looking at this gap that we're about to fall down from, you know, we only traded for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. 7 weeks over here, and as you can see, 1, 2 weeks over here, and then we immediately skyrocketed. We went on a massive bull run for KDA. We came back to this level a few times, but then as you can see, once you drop beneath this, well, over here we've drawn it out to about 149, but if I do highlight another subset of lows on this one, you can see down here on the weekly time frame, once again, candle body closes right on that 146 that we've previously been mentioning. Now, why is this so important? Let's back out, let's zoom in, let's go over to the daily time frame. So we know how significant this 146 level is. If you're a veteran of the channel, we've been talking about this for a while. Now, this is also significant because we've been forming a head and shoulders pattern, which is obviously a bearish technical for Kadena. The neckline of this was, where do you know, 146. This is why we've been mentioning Kadena has been flirting with death. We've been spending way too much time around this 146 region, and now we're starting to break down. There is very flat volume right now. It's kind of hard to see. In fact, if I did plot the volume on its own chart, let's see, let's move this pane up, zoom in on this, you can definitely see there's an increase in volume, but there's really not too much volume that is traded, at least not over on what I'm looking at. Over on the EMA ribbons, you can see we quite recently came into the EMAs and got a bearish rejection. Now, once again, this is another thing that we've been talking about since I've been covering this up here at 650. We've been saying the trend is your friend until the end. Wait for the flip of the EMA ribbons. Wait until you start flipping the trend. What did we do a couple of days ago? We came back into the trend, had a reversion to the mean, and now we're heading back down. So all signs point towards new lows. We've been squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. I've made so many updates saying the breakdown is around the corner for KDA at this 146 level, and now the time is finally here. If Kadena closes a daily candle body close beneath $1.46, you know what, let's be conservative. Let's say a weekly candle body. I want to see that weekly candle body close come into effect. If we do close beneath that 146, I think it's going to be curtains. Now, you do also have to bear in mind the next FOMC is tomorrow. It's right round the corner for the Bitcoin cryptocurrency stock market. These FOMC results are going to have a massive impact on the direction of the market. Now, while I'm not going to go through all of the FOMC dates and talk to you about where we're going to go, because I've talked about this many times on my channel, I just want to quickly highlight there's only been one time that I've noticed that we've been in this type of similar situation where we've been coming towards an apex of a triangle pattern, a converging pattern, and the FOMC is literally right at the apex of this. You can see the last time we had this was over here on the 4th of May. We had a 75 basis point increase. The market's pumped right to the top of the channel on that day. What did we do the next day? We absolutely landslide. And this is the fractal that I've been talking about on my channel. If you are interested in this, I highly recommend you check out my most recent Bitcoin video I posted on my channel where we talked a bit more in depth about the FOMC fractals. But basically all you need to know is we have an FOMC, we pump on the day, we break down afterwards. We pump on the day, we break down afterwards. There was also one over here, we pumped on the day, broke down afterwards. There was one roundabout here, and tomorrow we've got another FOMC. So can we pump up to 19,700 tomorrow for Bitcoin? It's possible if we have a 75 basis point increase. If we have any more than that, it's going to be a lot worse. But looking at Bitcoin in the higher time frames, I've been talking about how I think we're coming down to this 1.236. 15,800 for Bitcoin. This is going to mean another 17% drop for Bitcoin, and I do believe that KDA is going to dramatically outperform to the downside. So I probably should have said KDA will underperform, meaning that it will be moving to the downside faster than Bitcoin. But you can see everything from these head and shoulders patterns, losing the VPVRs, having these reversions to the means on the daily time frame, volume coming in to push us down, no bulls are in sight holding this up. And also something that I cleared out when I was recording this video at the start is another price target that we've also been talking about on this channel. This is from where you can see this pole breakdown. Beautiful pole. And then what's this? This is a massive bearish pennant. Now, the pennant is formed from this rising level of support from this white and red uptrending trend line. And then you can see the roof of this is actually this red box over here. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, you know, we had a breakout of this. I would call this a fake out. And I always say on my channel, a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. So this is what makes the most sense to me. Even though we did go to the upside, I'm still looking at this as a bearish pennant because we came back, we broke out, we came back for the retest, and you can clearly see this zone that we got rejected from, which was the top of my bearish pennant. We basically immediately landslided from this. So I call this a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. And as you can see, since this, we've had a pretty fast move back down. We've basically, it's kind of ironic saying fast move for Kadena because we've been lollygagging at this floor for so long, much longer than Bitcoin. But nonetheless, a couple of other patterns I've been talking about. You've also got this massive, massive M pattern. You see massive run up over here, bang, floor. We had a run up over here and a break here. Now, I'll give you the price target of this, but I do not think it's going to hit. I think we've looked at this before and it was just absolutely brutal. But nonetheless, I will give you the price target. The price target is going to be at 56 cents. Like I said, not my price target, not where I think we're going to. If we also look at this bearish pennant breakdown, where's this going to be taking us to? 65 cents. So I'm just giving you a few ideas here. Like I said, this is not my price target. What I've been looking at is the price targets from psychological levels. There's VPVR supports down here at $1.08. If we zoom out on the weekly, I'll show you. It starts right here. $1.06 is where the VPVR support is. This is where we've got a decent amount of volume previously traded. That's going to mean that people are happy to put their bids down there because we've got at least a decent amount of support here. We also have, there was a 1.618 Fibonacci extension down here at $1.05, psychological support at $1, and so many more targets that we've been talking about on this channel. But for now, all I want you to know is that the next breakdown is right around the corner. Kadena's flirting with death, 146. As soon as we lose this, we're coming down to the lows that we established all the way back here in May. So, you know, within the next 2-3 days, I expect us to come down to 134. If we do start putting in daily candle body closes, weekly candle body closes beneath 134, it is curtains. I don't think you realize how quickly we're going to be coming down to $1.05. Yes, I've been saying that we're going to be breaking down, and yes, I've been saying that the breakdown is going to be brutal, but like I said, we're sitting on this VPVR support right now, which is why we haven't broken down. This is the point of control. Once we lose this point of control, once again at 144, 146, as soon as you start closing daily and weekly candle body closes, especially if Bitcoin decides to break down of this on the FOMC meeting, it is going to be curtains for Kadena. I don't care how long we've been holding this floor for. There is no support beneath us. The only support that I see is all the way down here at $1.08, and that is where I'm calling for us to go to. Another quick update on the total cryptocurrency market cap. You can also see, as we've been talking about the volume profiles, the point of control was over here at 960 billion for the fixed volume profiles, and over on the visible range you can also see similarly around about 920 billion. Why am I highlighting this? Because if we zoom in on the daily time frame, this green point of control that we've been finding support on for the past couple of days has now been lost. As you can see, it is basically oblivion to the downside. We do not have data traded apart from these really small couple of wicks and a couple of floors over here. And if you look over on Bitcoin, Bitcoin looks like it's about to take out its floor before the total cryptocurrency market cap does. So this is going to be a leading indicator for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be the one that leads the breakdown. This is going to cause all of the cryptocurrency market to move down. The total cryptocurrency market cap will break down, and with that, we should expect the next major breakdown in total 2 for the altcoins to come. As you can see, altcoins losing their point of control. The last time we talked about this, we were predicting a 43% drop. We've already started to break down, so now I'm looking at about a 39% drop. But just a couple of ideas. Really, it's not looking good for Kadena. All right, now let's wrap up the video and check out some of the oscillators, but I really want to put emphasis on the MFI today. So we're going to start off on the MFI. Right now, look at where the money flow index is. We're all the way up, just pushing up to 70. Now, how on earth is the MFI pushing all the way up to 70? Well, basically, here's why. If you come over to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's inches away from making new lows. If you come over to the total cryptocurrency market cap, the total cryptocurrency market cap is inches away from making new lows. If you look at the total two altcoins are very close to making new lows, but alts are holding up slightly better, and that doesn't really make sense to me. We're very overextended from where we should be in the greater scheme of things, and with this I honestly think that we're extremely overextended on Kadena right now, meaning that we're going to have a drastic move to the downside very, very soon. Now, I want to show you what's happened when we've been at this level quite recently. So as you can see over here, we topped out at 68 on the 2nd of May. Where were we when we were opening on the 2nd of May? Well, we were all the way up here at $3.88. Where did we proceed to break down to in the next 2 weeks? Well, we broke all the way down to 135. That was literally a 65% drop. Now, if you want to consider, looking at the entire scheme of things, like looking how long it took the candle body closes and for the trend to really start trading around here, it took about a month or so. But as you can see, we relatively quickly proceeded with a 65% drop in the most recent time when the money flow index was up at 69. We are at 69 once again, but the price is all the way here at $1.44. What's going to happen if we're going to copy this out and we're going to potentially drop another 65%? Just a hypothetical, not necessarily something that I'm predicting. This is going to say that, hey, we're going to come down to basically 50 cents. Now, like I said, I'm just giving you an idea on this one. I personally don't think we're going to go down to 50 cents. I think we're going to bottom round about that 80 cent region, which is going to be about another 44% drop. But nonetheless, I don't have any buy orders in play right now. This MFI fractal is extremely brutal, so I would definitely advise caution if you are looking to DCA at these levels. Now, let's head over to the other oscillators. The other oscillators are slightly less important than the MFI. Like I said, the MFI is really king right now. On the weekly time frame, as you can see, they really haven't started to have a bearish trend yet. The squeeze mom isn't breaking down. The MFI isn't breaking down. The MACD is kind of just hovering. I mean, the histogram bars have been slowly trickling down, indicative that bulls are losing momentum and bears should be taking over soon, but the breakdown hasn't started in the higher time frames. Now let's come over to the daily. Is this a different perspective? Well, no, not really. The MFI is heading up. MFI is at 47. This really hasn't started to pull back down yet. You can also see the squeeze momentum indicator. This is one of my favorite lagging indicators for momentum, and it hasn't yet crossed bearish. And in my opinion, this is going to get super brutal, because when we take out this floor that I've been talking about, this 146, 145 region, as soon as we start closing beneath then, it's really going to be curtains for KDA. There's so much momentum to be had on the MACD. For the past 2 days, or the past 3 days really, we've only been showing a small amount of bearish momentum as we've crossed beneath the heart line once again, but we're really not turning down too hard on the MACD. I don't think the breakdown has really started to happen, and I really like to look at the MFI and the squeeze mom. I much prefer these to the MACD, but nonetheless, just letting you know, with things like the MFI and the MACD, these are extremely brutal because they're still kind of heading up, or they're, with the MFI, it's heading up, but the squeeze mom is really lagging and it hasn't broken down yet. 4 hourly time frame, you can see that we are starting to break down. I would advise caution if you are looking at some of these and thinking that these are heavily oversold on the lower time frames, because you also do have to bear in mind lower time frames are good, but higher time frames are what matters. And we've been trading around this region for months and months and months now and lollygagging. So I'm obviously going to listen to the daily and the weekly time frame over what's happening on the 4 hour. And once again, my friends, on the higher time frames, it's looking like momentum is about to shift. Kadena is really flirting with death, and death is probably about to kick Kadena down the stairs, and Kadena is going to roll all the way down to $1. Just my thoughts, my friends. Those are my price targets. $1. I also think it's very likely we come down to 80 cents. But that's my thoughts on KDA. Let me know what you think of that down below. As always, my friends, Twitter's over here at 618_cowboy. Be sure to check out the Discord, links in the description. Be sure to check out the merch store. Follow me over on my social medias. All of that is on my YouTube bio. But nonetheless, as always, cowboy out, my friends. Peace.